Hello, welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, this is a channel devoted to understanding yourself, examining yourself, questioning your ideas, and encouraging growth overall in your life. I wanted to share with you a favorite TV show, a long-standing favorite TV show that speaks a lot to themes that I've believed in very strongly, and I wanted to share them with you so that you could understand me a lot better. If you enjoy content like this, please consider subscribing and give this video a thumbs up. It'll really boost this channel, and I think it's a pretty unique channel. I think it's very important to examine, for each of us to examine ourselves. Okay, so on with the video. Growing up, one of my favorite shows, no, my favorite show was Star Trek. It still is my favorite show. I don't think many people, at least I had the impression that many people didn't understand Star Trek, didn't appreciate it, even though it does have a huge following. So I wanted to just mention a few moments from the series that evoked attitudes that I have about life. Okay, so the first episode is The Cage. Sorry about that. I had to change my venue. My computer is really acting up. So I'm using my laptop right now, and this seems more comfortable anyway, easier to talk. Okay, so anyway, I was about to go into describing The Cage, but I figured I should actually describe what the show is about overall. It's very close to the U.S. Navy. There's a captain. I'm sure you know about, you're familiar, you've heard about Captain Kirk, Spock. It takes place on the USS Enterprise. They're exploring, think of it as an exploration team. It takes place in the future. Later on, they say it's the 23rd century, and there's a captain, commanding officer, his first officer, Mr. Spock, and then there are various chiefs. There's a Dr. McCoy who heads up the medicine department. It's very much, again, it's very much like a Navy. There's a chief engineer who oversees the structural health of the Enterprise, and there are various aliens, some hostile aliens, but for the most part, it's exploration. It's exploring the unknown, and I I think in life we're basically on a journey to discover new experiences, to grow and to change and to come out at the other end for the better. Um, the series was supposed to be set for 5 years, so thus Kirk says it's a 5-year mission. But we're on perhaps a 70 or 80-year mission to explore, to change, to make a better, to make a positive impact on other people. So, having said that, let me go back to The Cage. Now, The Cage was the pilot produced before the series was sold. This was a different captain, a different crew. You had Captain Pike, and his doctor was Dr. Boyce. And the story starts off where there's a distress signal. The Enterprise picks up a distress signal from a science expedition that had been thought lost, I believe, on Talos 4, and they're about to go search for survivors. And meanwhile, the captain calls Dr. Boyce over to his quarters and talks with him. The two share a drink, and the captain is considering resigning from Starfleet, which is the equivalent, as I said before, of the U.S. Navy. The prior mission had been very disastrous. He says he lost his own yeoman and some number of crewmen, and he's basically tired out. He doesn't want to continue with life. He doesn't want to, I was about to say, continue with life. He doesn't want to continue in Starfleet. All right, so the conversation begins. Dr. Boyce says, "Have you considered my option or idea of taking a shore leave?" And the captain says, "I've considered resigning." Doctor says, "And do what?" "Well, for one thing, go home. I have several horses, farm." Later on, he mentions that he lives in Mojave, California. Very nice. Apparently, in the future, they learned how to irrigate the desert, so Mojave looks like a green prairie. You see the two horses later on in the episode. Um, he says he could go out and feed the horses, and Dr. Boyce says, "Okay," sarcastically, "Okay, sounds fun. Ride out with a picnic lunch every day." So then the captain interrupts him and says, "That's one place I could go. I could go into business, maybe on the Orion colonies." And then Boyce interrupts him and says, "You, an Orion trader dealing in green animal slave women." And he says, "The point is, this isn't the only life available to me." And here's the key point. Dr. Boyce, I keep wanting to say, I almost keep saying Dr. McCoy. Dr. Boyce says, how does he put it? There's only, so Dr. Boyce tells him, a man either lives life as it happens to him, meets it heads on and licks it, or he turns his back on it and starts to wither away. It's about that captain that the response is found, and they beam down. Captain Pike is captured, and I'll save you the rest of the episode. They discover that the Telosians, thousands of years ago, after a war, had gone underground, and they forgot, over time, they forgot to rebuild or repair the machines left behind by their ancestors, and they just sat living, they just sat nostalgically, they sat reliving earlier life experiences, and they developed these mental powers, these extreme mental powers that they put Captain Pike through. And the episode deals with illusions, the dangerous and awesome power of illusion, how it could be dangerous. And that goes back to what Dr. Boyce talks about in the beginning of the episode. In essence, the episode is talking about how you can become so enamored with illusion that you forget reality. It's better to live life in reality than to escape into a fantasy world. I mean, fantasy is okay. The profession I wanted to go into was writing, was screenwriting specifically, but I'm someone who really believes in confronting the truth, in not escaping or evading what must be done. if you're going to progress in life, you can't hide behind a nice, pleasant lie. Um, you have to confront the truth, meet it head on, and live through it and learn from it. The next episode I wanted to talk about is an episode called The Enemy Within. Very quickly, Captain Kirk, through a transporter accident, is split into two people. The transporter, if you didn't know, is a device that dematerializes you, turns you into energy, and then transports that energy to another location and reassembles you back. Basically, you disappear from one spot and you appear in another spot. Only this time, in this episode, there's an accident and Kirk appears twice. One Kirk is very passive, the other Kirk is very aggressive. And I like the fact that they don't mention them as evil and good. I don't think they mention them as evil or good. I don't believe in evil or good. And the episode doesn't portray them that way. The episode portrays good and bad qualities in each of them. For example, the aggressive Kirk seems to have more determination, more drive. He is also more violent, more prone to pushing other people around. Whereas the passive Kirk has intelligence. And that's what one thing I wanted to talk about. He can also become very confused and wishy-washy. So anyway, all right. So Kirk, I'm sorry. Well, yeah, obviously Kirk. um, Dr. McCoy and Spock both have run an experiment with a dog, an alien dog, space spaniel, and who has also been split into two. And the dog died upon rematerializing. And so they're questioning, is this really dangerous? Should we put the captain through this? Will he die as well? There's one point um, when Kirk, I believe, the passive Kirk, I believe, is being wishy-washy. No. He's not being wishy-washy. No. He he's trying to find the courage. He doesn't know if he can be able to confront the aggressive Kirk because you see, you have to have the passive and the aggressive Kirk together on the transporter platform so that they can be merged together. So he's concerned whether he can be able to confront his aggressive side. And Dr. McCoy says something very smart. He says, um, of course, he doesn't have this aggressive strength, but he says the passive Kirk has the intelligence. And he says, perhaps that's where man's essential courage comes from. For you see, he was afraid, meaning that moment when he confronted the aggressive Kirk. For you see, he was afraid and you weren't. Now that really speaks to me because many times in life, I think my intelligence has been able to give me the courage to go through with it. I understand that if I'm too afraid, if I back away and cower, if I don't go through it, I won't be able to get the benefit at the other end. I guess maybe I should do a separate video about this, but it bears more inspection, more exploration, more introspection. But it's basically a truism, I think, that with with wisdom, with intelligence comes courage, because you're smart enough to know that you can put your fears aside, and what you really want is more important than your fears. There's no other way of putting it that I can say right now. So, okay, so that's one great moment from the episode. Another great moment is, again, when I was talking before about their concern that if they merge the aggressive Kirk with the passive Kirk, that it will undoubtedly kill both of them. And Spock replies to Dr. McCoy saying, "It's no theory with me." The theory being the theory that the transporter accident, the merging will kill Kirk and kill both Kirks. Spock says, "It's no theory with me, Doctor. I have an alien half, you see, as well as a human half, submerged, constantly at war with each other. I survive it because my intelligence wins out over both, makes them live together." And that dovetails back to what I said before about intelligence being the source of courage, being the driving source for courage. Um, Not that I have an alien half and a human half. I hope you didn't think that I thought that. But what did I mean? There are many different parts of me, perhaps, um, constantly at war with each other. Well, all right. What he meant was by alien, he's half Vulcan and half human. The Vulcans are a race that tried to breed out very emotional state. They used to be a very emotionally violent and emotionally violent race, and over time they conditioned themselves to breed out very, very strong emotions and rely on logic and reason. So Spock is, in essence, saying, I have an emotional half and a logical, rational, controlled half, and my intelligence wins out over both of them. Um, my intelligence, meaning my intelligence keeps a check on very emotional states. Um, the intelligence lets those states, the human half and the alien half, coexist and work together. Okay, now I want to jump over to one of the movies, specifically Star Trek III: The Search for Spock. Little spoiler alert: the end of two, Spock dies. Um, so at this point in the climax of Star Trek III, Kirk has just lost his best friend Spock. Um, he's also lost a new son he discovered in the prior movie. The Klingons are the villains in this movie, and they've just killed his son David. He's on the Enterprise. There's a small crew of just him, McCoy, Scotty, the regular cast, and the Klingon commander has just sent over a boarding party, or is about to send over a boarding party to take command, expecting Kirk to surrender. Now, Kirk has a trick up his sleeve. Um, he says, "Okay, you can board our ship, but give me a few minutes first." And then he sets the ship to self-destruct. He transports all of his own crew. There's only a small group of characters to the planet's surface, while the Klingons are sending their capturing crew, their people to take control of the Enterprise. So just as they beam over, the Klingons beam over to the Enterprise blows up. Kirk stands there on the planet's surface looking up, and remember, this is the Enterprise. Um, this is about close to 30 years old. This is a ship that's close to 30 years old. He's just witnessed the destruction of his beloved ship. He's just heard moments ago about his son being killed. In the prior movie, his best friend Spock has been killed. So he looks up and he sees the Enterprise burning up in the atmosphere as it's exploding. And sorry if you hear that. That's a friend not knowing that I'm recording a video right now. So he asks Bones, "My God, what have I done?" And Bones says something very specific. He says, "What you had to do, what you always do, turn death into a fighting chance to live." And that's the moment that I want to call your attention to. In my life, I like to think that I followed that guideline myself. Not that I was confronted by death necessarily, but I'd like to turn bad situations into something constructive. Find some kind of escape, some kind of way that I could turn a negative situation into a constructive one. You get the idea. And that kind of dovetails into the next movie, Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. In this movie, they go back in time to 20th century Earth, probably 1986 when the movie came out. They're trying to hunt whales. I won't get into the explanation, but it's one of these things where they're trying to save Earth in the future. And they're on a city bus. They know that the Earth is doomed in the future if they don't complete their mission. Kirk and Spock are sitting there watching this punk with his loud boombox, and listen to the song. The song is the only question is how many megatons. I hate you. I think you're blue too. We're all bloody worthless. And Kirk says, "Would you mind turning off that damn noise?" Now, personally, I don't think that he's only saying noise in terms of loudness. I think the song is antithetical to his attitude towards life. We're all bloody worthless. The only question is how many megatons. And here he has the optimism to go back in time and find two humpback whales, bring them forward into his own time, and resolve the problem so that Earth is saved. Takes a lot of courage. And I think in my life, I think I have the courage to be able to, again, with intelligence, to realize that whatever dangers I'm seeing are outweighed by the importance of accomplishing what must be done. So I guess I'll leave you with that. There are a lot of other themes, fascinating themes in Star Trek, but I don't want to prolong this video any further. So hopefully I've encouraged you, if you haven't seen the show, to please check it out. And as always, I'll speak with you next time. Goodbye.